Budapest hosted the 27th Congress of International Federation for European Law. This prestigious professional event was held in Hungary for the very first time between 18th and 21st of May 2016. The Congress was organized by the Faculty of Law of the Pázmány Péter Catholic University in cooperation with Hungary's Fide Association. Dr. András Zsé Varga, Dean of the Faculty of Law of Pázmány Péter Catholic University, and Dr. Gyula Bándi, Professor of Faculty of Law, were among the organizers of the Congress. Dr. Péter DARAK, President of the CURIA of Hungary and the President of Fide, emphasized that it was a great honor for Hungary to get the opportunity to organize this event.
That's a very prestigious position because I had to lead all the sessions of the steering committee that happened last year in Budapest because the steering committee sessions are organized yearly. And we had also a steering committee session here on the first day of the conference, where we decided about the future conferences, the possible topics of the next conference, and all current issues of such a big association.
Organization of the Budapest event requires serious preparation from the Hungarian hosts. The Executive Committee of Fide held its annual meeting in Budapest in May 2015. The most important aim of this meeting was preparation for the 2016 Budapest Congress.
I was really happy when I knew Hungary will organize the conference in 2016, the Fide Congress in Budapest. But it's a long run because in 2010 in Madrid the steering committee decided about it, and Miklós Király, the Dean of the Faculty of Law of ELTE, had a main role to gain this opportunity. Of course, we had a lot of work with it, but I personally can only say a lot of thanks to the Faculty of Law of the Pázmány Péter Catholic University.
The Congress started with the meeting of the Executive Committee at Kempinski Hotel, Corvinus. Pázmány Péter Catholic University also hosted an important event on the opening day.
Any congress which is international is important for the university, but hence the Fide Congress is a 4-day-long biannual congress of all researchers, lawyers, or persons interested in European law, in European lawmaking and European jurisprudence, and having them together in Budapest, in Hungary, and having them in our university is really a very, very important step forward to create stronger and stronger relations with other universities. And this is our aim.
Young legal professionals from all over Europe had the opportunity to take part in a PhD course on European law, discuss their fields of study, and share their research experiences.
My PhD research is on the constitutional implications of the Eurozone crisis, that is the public debt crisis and the financial crisis. And my work more specifically concerns political and legal accountability in EU economic governance and the banking union, hence my interest in the Fide Doctoral Congress.
I was one of the national rapporteurs for the private antitrust enforcement topic together with Jeroen Kortman. And so in that capacity I came here, and then I decided also to submit my paper for the doctoral conference where I presented yesterday. In my PhD research, I focused in one of the papers on the Antitrust Damages Directive. So also being the national rapporteur, that is the topic that I'm most interested in. But in fact, in my research, I'm also focusing on division of competences, the subsidiarity principle, and looking at European integration from an economic perspective. So I would like to also hear more about that, and I will have to divide my attention a little bit between both topics and sessions.
Different concepts that all boil down to the same idea.
I think it's important for the country, first of all, because it's a big international event, and because it is a scientific arrangement, it's important also for the Academy of Sciences. But for me personally, the most important part of this Congress this afternoon session with the youth, with the postdoc students, because they are for the future. As I saw in the program, there is only one from Hungary, and they are from Germany, from Greece, from Italy, and so on and so forth. So I think it represents the internationality of the whole Congress.
Fide was established in 1961 in Brussels and from the start was an important platform for members to study and develop knowledge of European law. It has substantially contributed to the effectiveness of European community institutions. At present, Fide has 29 member organizations. The work of the national associations includes studying and discussing European law, as well as promoting its development. The most important events organized by Fide are the congresses held every 2 years in different locations. These congresses are highly recognized and supported by the EU because they create a valuable opportunity to discuss fundamentally important European legislative issues. Each congress covers 3 topics that deal with constitutional questions, competition law, and internal market issues. At the opening ceremony of the Budapest Congress, welcoming speeches were given by Professor Con Lenard, President of the Court of Justice of the European Union, Professor Francisco Fonseca Morillo, and Professor and Rector Magnificus of Pázmány Péter Catholic University, Anselm Szabolcs Szuromi. In his opening speech, Dr. Péter DARAK stressed that European law has great significance for the Central and Eastern European countries and the region's lawyers. Dr. László Trócsányi, Minister of Justice of Hungary, in his speech underlined that the question of priority between European law and the constitutional identity of each member state is being raised more and more often. The 3 main topics covered by the 2016 Budapest Fide Congress were European Banking Union, private enforcement and collective redress in European competition law, and division of competences and regulatory powers between the EU and the member states.
Well, all 3 actually are extremely important. The first one, the banking union, is of course the reaction of the European Union political process to the financial crisis which started with the collapse of Lehman Brothers 2008. The European Union has experienced what it means that banks with a systemic significance for the economy could collapse, and has taken the appropriate measures to counter that. Now, these measures are a total novelty in the legal landscape of the European Union in terms of competences of the European Central Bank, also in terms of the resolution system for banks. And it is of course important that lawyers, both practicing lawyers, national government lawyers, lawyers of the European institutions, academics, dialogue with one another to exchange their experiences and national best practices in this field in order to understand how this banking union, which is of common European interest in the internal market of the European Union, can actually function. The second topic is an important topic. It's the private enforcement of competition rules. In short, it's the issue that the victims of cartels or of abuse of dominant position on the market, and the victims, they suffer harm because normally they have paid too high prices for the goods and the services, higher than they normally should have paid under normal operation of the market rules. And of course, the excess price they paid, they want to recover part of that price by way of damages actions. Now, these damages actions must be brought before national courts. And that's the proper focus of Fide, Fédération Internationale de Droit Européen. It's the interaction between national legal systems and European Union legal systems. The two are fully integrated. The Union is not something outside the member state. In Hungary, European Union law is Hungarian law. In Belgium, European Union law is Belgian law. It's an integrated system, and that second theme is studying all the intricacies of that legal space which the European Union forms. The third theme on competences and regulatory powers of respectively the European Union and the Member States reflects a bit that same spirit, but here at a fundamental constitutional level. That is, who does what? What does the European Union decide? What do the Member States decide? And beyond all of that, how do their decisions logically reinforce one another? So in fact, the European Union is also an empowerment for the national authorities, in that the national authorities take decisions which inscribe themselves in this broader European framework, which is of the interest of each of our member states to have open borders to the other member states, to belong to a single space where there is free movement of persons, goods, services and capital, a level playing field in competition terms, and therefore an increase of welfare and well-being in all our member states. So that third theme is also a crucially important thing.
A discussion took place on each topic. It was the task of the general rapporteurs to compile questionnaires that were filled out by the national rapporteurs. This way, problems and ideas brought up by member states regarding a topic can be discussed with other professionals and rapporteurs from EU institutions. By the end of the Congress, a general report was compiled on each topic.
The European Union has a complex system in order to legislate, by which we have the European Commission, which tries to get the maximum of information before it makes a proposal, so discussing a lot with representatives of member states administration. Then the Commission makes a proposal to the legislator, which is composed of the Parliament, where we have members of Parliament elected in each member state, and to the Council, where we have ministers from national governments, and this is the mechanism which should guarantee that national differences are taken into account. Now, not all differences can be taken into account, because otherwise you will get no common legislation. But it's a mechanism which functions, could be better, but it functions.
People is worried about the distribution of competence all the time. In my opinion, most of the time, especially among the general public, is because there is a confusion between what is the competence of the Union, which is a very general attribution of competence, and the implementation of those competencies. I mean, there is a confusion between the legislation, which is the result of applying the political will to the competencies already attributed to the Union, and the competencies themselves.
The Congress attracted a wide range of legal practitioners from a great number of countries. Participants had an excellent opportunity to engage in professional debates and express their views and concerns on major topics. But the capital city of Hungary is an ideal location not only for business but also for pleasure. During the 4-day Congress, foreign guests had the chance to enjoy spectacular views and sights around Budapest. After a long, hard day of discussion, international participants of the Congress were invited to a gala dinner at the Castle Garden Bazaar, where they saw something of Hungarian tradition through various forms of entertainment. The event was also honored with the presence of Dr. Tibor Navracsics, European Commissioner for Education, Culture, Youth and Sport. As a former lawyer, the Commissioner reiterated how much law touches on all aspects of life.
Even in the history of the European integration, because events by events, professionals, researchers, scholars and politicians has to have a dialogue. And I think the Fide conference is an important platform for that dialogue, and the environment is just beautiful. So I hope that everybody who is here, every participant feel very well and enjoy the environment here. A conference is always a dialogue at the same time and a conversation among stakeholders, among professionals, researchers and politicians. And every conversation gives a better understanding of the different particular positions. I think that is the main mission of a conference, to clarify the issues, to map up the differences, to find meeting points among divergent positions, and of course, by the end of the day, finding a kind of consensus among different conceptions and positions. That's the main meaning of a conference.
The main topic of the closing plenary session of the 2016 Fide Congress was the importance of the transatlantic trade and investment partnership negotiations and their consequences for the European Union. Ghent University professor Dr. Inge Govare, professor of the European University Institute Maris Cremona, and Dr. János Martonyi, former Minister of Foreign Affairs of Hungary, all shared their views on the current treaty discussions.
The Commission's figures say that trade, and export trade in particular, is really important for jobs and growth within the EU. So the figure they give is 1 in 7 jobs. 30 million jobs in the EU depend on export trade. And this is something, of course, it's not all trade with the US, but trade with the US is very important. So they're trying to underpin the value of the agreement for the EU would be mobilizing, if you like, the benefits of trade for the benefit of European industry. And here the regulatory cooperation is particularly important because if you're manufacturing cosmetics, pharmaceuticals, there are all kinds of regulatory barriers. Of course, they're there for a good reason. So the regulations are there for a good reason. But if one can try to ensure that the regulators are at least talking to each other and sharing information, a lot of it is about sharing information, then that will be a benefit to EU industry. So I think this is one of the key advantages for the agreement.
100% of the Hungarian GDP is exported, so we live on trade, we need trade, and it's also my personal conviction that free trade is even better. So let's try to liberalize trade as much as we can. TTIP is one of the avenues to do that. At the same time, we also have to make rules. So it's like freedom and order. On the one hand, you have to liberalize trade. On the other hand, you have to make rules for trade. So that was perhaps the main message of my speech.
Holding such a prestigious congress is always a big challenge for the National Fide Association of the host country. The organizer of the previous 2014 Copenhagen Congress faced another challenge here as a moderator.
The challenges were manifold. Firstly, because Fide is quite an unusual organization. It doesn't have a permanent secretariat or a website or an archive. So to begin with, there was a lot of fact-finding. So that was one part of the challenges. Then there were the challenges with regard to fundraising. It's quite costly to do this. And then I think a third challenge could be said to be building up the network of the people who are voluntarily contributing to Fide. So those were some of the challenges. I think the Hungarian organization has done really, really well, and it has been a successful transfer of knowledge from Denmark to Hungary, and I'm sure it will go just as smoothly from Hungary to Portugal and from Portugal to the Netherlands, etc.
The 4-day Congress held at Kempinski Hotel Corvinus and at the Pázmány Péter Catholic University was attended by more than 400 legal professionals, including internationally recognized European law experts, legal practitioners and judges of the Court of Justice of the European Union. Congress participants said they found this Budapest event very worthwhile as well as enjoyable.
I first of all want to congratulate the Hungarian Association of European Law, and in particular its president, Peter DARAK, the president of the CURIA and a good friend of mine and of the Court of Justice of the European Union, with the climate of dialogue which he has succeeded in establishing here. It's this type of dialogue between all the European Union countries, member states, here in this rich historical setting of Budapest, and we are extremely grateful for that. It was a very lively debate, but extremely respectful for all the standpoints expressed by the participants, and I think we will produce value added that is common ground which we were not maybe aware of before the discussion, and that is the merit of the organizer of this very, very successful Hungarian 27th Fide Congress.
The host of the next Fide Congress in 2018 will be Portugal. At the closing ceremony of the Budapest Congress, Hungarian organizers therefore passed the baton on to Mr. José Luis da Cruz Vilaça.
The topics are also fundamental topics concerning very important and topical issues of EU law, such as the internal market and the digital economy, tax, state aid and distortions of competition, and finally the external dimension of EU law in different perspectives. And I hope the Congress will succeed to be at the same level, at least as the Budapest Congress.